Welcome back, everybody. We're continuing through early childhood. Today we're going to start with Erik Erikson and his third stage, initiative versus guilt, and kind of talk about some emotional development in young children and what that looks like. So, initiative versus guilt. During this stage of early childhood, children are going to use their perceptual, their motor, their cognitive, and their language skills to make things happen. It's going to be on their own initiative. They're going to move out into a wider social world. They're going to kind of expand their social circle. It's been caregiver, child. Well, now they're going to explore. They're going to take some initiative using all of these skills that they've developed to kind of explore the wider world. And that great governor of initiative is going to be their conscience. That conscience is going to develop, and that's going to develop really from the response that the parents give to the child as they are taking that initiative. So, further initiative and enthusiasm may result in reward, and they may be very excited if the parents respond in a way that encourages them to take that initiative. If parents or caregivers respond in a way that uh, doesn't encourage them, that discourages their initiative taking, then they're probably going to develop something like guilt. They're going to have a lower self-esteem and really just not they're not going to want to take initiative in the future. So all of this kind of is tied to the development of the understanding of self, which is what is really happening during early childhood for the first time. There's this self-understanding. There's this increased awareness that of who that child is. There's this increased self-recognition, this understanding of self-concept. They begin to notice their own physical and material attributes, and they know what physical activities are central to the self, and they often have really unrealistically positive self descriptions of themselves. But there's this start of this awareness of the self. But there's also not just self understanding, there's this understanding of others. That is developing as well. They start perceiving others in terms of psychological traits. They start to understand that people don't always give accurate reports of their beliefs. They really um, they really start to understand that other people have emotion, um, and that maybe they're not the center of the universe. In fact, Erikson would probably say that young children aren't nearly as egocentric as Piaget depicts them in his theory. In fact, he would say that children, young children especially, are socially sensitive, they're very perceptive, and they know what's going on as they learn to interact in the social world. So there's this idea of initiative versus guilt, and what are they? They're taking initiative or they're not, and we know that guilt is a self-conscious emotion, and guilt could be a negative result if parents respond poorly to the initiative that is being taken. Well, those self-conscious emotions are really starting to develop during this time as the child gains a better understanding of themselves and a better understanding of others. So things like guilt, pride, shame, embarrassment, those emotions start to develop more now that the child is more self-aware. And again, these are influenced by the parents' responses to their behavior. We also see a greater understanding of emotion during this time, that children are understanding what it is they feel and why they feel that. And we know that understanding of emotion is linked to an increase in pro-social behavior. So children who understand their emotion or starting to understand their emotion are more likely to engage in positive pro-social behaviors. We also know that there's an increased ability among young children to reflect on their emotions, to understand emotion, and to understand that the same event can elicit different feelings in different people. And so there's a growing understanding of the need to manage emotion as well. We call that regulating emotions, and this is just kind of understanding when it is appropriate and when it isn't appropriate to express emotion in a certain way. We know that as children understand how to regulate emotion, that becomes very central to who they are as socially competent beings as well. We also know that parents play a huge role in helping children learn how to regulate emotions, either through emotion coaching, where they monitor the emotion, where they use teaching opportunity if there's a negative emotion or negative expression of an emotion, and they just coach their child in how to deal with emotions effectively, or they may be emotion dismissing, where they just deny, ignore, try to change any type of negative emotions that that child has. If you want more information on this, there's a handout on Erikson Stage 3. I would encourage you to download that and read through that, and I will be back in just a few minutes.